Okay, so around this time last year, I started thinking about what are some of the big works of fiction that I want to. The word consume feels weird to say, but I feel like it's the best kind of all encompassing. Because like you don't watch a book, you don't read an anime. I mean, I guess if you're watching subs, things like that. But it's like, what are some of like the really big ones that I want to get done in 2023 because they've been on my list for a long time? And one of them, that being One Piece, I just have not touched this year, and that's 100% on me. That's bad time management. That's me getting distracted by like everything else under the sun. But one of the ones that have been on my list for a very long time, and I finally said, I'm gonna get around to this, I'm gonna fucking play this game, is the original Bioshock. Bioshock is a game that, of course, we are going to go into full spoilers, but I guess not at this point. Like, once I start going to, like, presentation and shit, full spoilers. But it's a game that's well known for its twist. And it's a twist that, like, I already knew, like, I pretty much knew about once the game came out, because it's what everybody was talking about. I found really, really interesting. It's like, that's such a cool fucking idea. I can't wait to see that. Now, like, on the one hand, it's like, yes, the surprise of it is ruined. But on the other hand, I can kind of appreciate the writing of it going in. Like, I can see this. I can see the set. I can see what's happening. But Jack don't have a clue. And I think that's really cool. And another thing that Bioshock is super well known for is its atmosphere, for the setting, for the lighting, for just kind of the entire vibe of Rapture. And it was something I was looking forward to experiencing. But something I don't think it's as well known for is the gameplay. I guess what I mean by that is like, yeah, like when you hear Bioshock, you probably know what the twist is because it's something people have talked about. You probably have an idea of what the atmosphere is like. You might know that it's a survival horror first-person shooter, but I feel like I just haven't heard a lot of people talk about the game itself, about a lot of the shit that you do in the game, or about the weapons. With the one exception about, like, there's this thing called a Big Daddy, and you can fight them, and if you do, you're gonna get big rewards, but also you're gonna get your ass kicked. It's like, okay, so there's... I wouldn't even say a boss, I guess like a mini boss, like a recurring kind of mini boss. It's like, that's like the one gameplay thing I really knew about, but nothing really else. And having played the game, I feel like all of that is justified. I do think the story and like the narrative and shit is interesting, but it's the twist for me that really propels it into, oh, like everything else is like good and I'm interested. This is really, really cool. I think the atmosphere is fan-fucking-tastic. The gameplay, I think, I don't love it, but I love aspects of it, and I'll talk about why. I think the only other thing I should say is I've played Bioshock Infinite before. It's the first Bioshock game that I've played. I haven't played it in a long time, so there's a lot of things I don't super remember, but I remember how much I loved playing Infinite. I loved Booker and Elizabeth. I loved, like, going through Columbia and, like, racing on the skylines and shit. I loved how fun the combat was, and Elizabeth, like, opening up portals, Booker, catch, and is, like, giving you money or giving you a new weapon or throwing some ammo and shit. I had a blast with Infinite. And I do love the ending. I know the ending is more contentious. I've talked to Clay about it. He's like, I have a lot of fun with Infinite. I think the ending's dog shit. I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's understandable. I disagree. I guess I felt like I should have said that. Like, this is my only other familiarity with the Bioshock series. I don't have a whole lot of interest in playing 2. I mean, I guess if enough people recommended, like, no, like, the story of 2 is really, really, really good, then, like, sure, maybe. But I don't think I've really heard that much about 2 or, like, how recommended it is, especially compared to the first game or Infinite when it came out. So, with that 5-minute fucking preamble and ramble out of the way, let's get into the presentation. That first shot of Rapture, like with Andrew Ryan giving his big speech. I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's something along the lines of, "Is like, this is what I wanted, and then I made Rapture," and then you see fucking Atlantica. It's like you see the city under the water, and I'm like, this is such a good shot. Like, it just looks so fucking cool. Like, I remember thinking to myself, like, this is cinematic. I would love to see this on the big screen. And my understanding is that there's essentially been talks to adapt Bioshock essentially since the game came out, as a movie, as a TV show, as something. My understanding is that it's finally getting made, and it's by Netflix. I think it's supposed to come out next year. I will probably check it out. I'm interested to see what they do. This is probably the thing I'm most looking forward to. Again, aside from like maybe some story stuff, is that first shot and like feeling like the majesty of Rapture, but you also just feel so small. Like, it's almost oppressive with how big it is. And given just the overall vibe of Bioshock, that's really, really well done. I love the music. It has that very old-timey music. It has a Fallout kind of soundtrack. And I like Fallout music. I think it's really nice. I've been hearing a lot of it because Jose has been playing New Vegas like nonstop, and he's having a blast. It's just something about the game I really like. The lighting, I think, is really good. There are some times I'm like, okay, it's a little too dark. I kind of wish I could see where the fuck I was going right now. Like, I get it. Survival horror. You're trying to spook me and shit. I get it. Can I fucking see right now? But I would say that's... I don't know how long I was playing the game. I don't know if I ever got an hour count. But let's say 15 hours. All right, let me put it like this. In my average session, I probably complained about the lighting maybe once a session. It's not as big a deal as I'm making it sound. It's really not. It's just like every now and then, but for the most part, I think it looks really good. I love the way a lot of these areas look. Sander Cohen's area in particular, I thought it looked really good. I kind of hated it for other reasons, but I thought it looked great. I really liked the look of Arcadia. And just how it's like, yeah, this is supposed to be like the big garden, and you do see a lot of the plants, but there's also like this really kind of dingy brown tint to it, which does make it look like, yeah, like this place probably used to be gorgeous, and there is still some of the beauty here, but a lot of it is fucking dead. Which also, I'm pretty sure, like, Brian set a lot of it on fire, and like, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. Because I think it was really pretty when you first get in there, and then he goes, fuck you, and then like, oh, well, shit, which makes a lot of sense. Like, I do think it looks really good. When it comes to like the enemy designs, and like I can't really say much about the character designs, as like you never see Jack's face, or like I don't think you ever do. I don't think there's any like a reflective thing I could look at to see him. I got the good ending. His face is not in that. Maybe his face is in one of the bad endings. I'm not sure. Bioshock has a weird art style, and it's kind of like this We Happy Few looking art style, which I like. I don't know if I quite love. I think I liked it a lot more in Infinite, but here it's like when you meet Andrew Ryan and you see his face, and like I don't know, something about this model looks kind of off. Maybe it's just the PS3. I don't know. Maybe it's the PS3 on a CRT. I don't know, but like it doesn't look. I don't know if I'm digging this. But then you get like the look of the little sisters, and I like that a lot. Like I love like how gray they are. I love the like glowing yellow eyes. It's like you're trying to make this thing creepy, and you do a really good job of making it creepy. And yeah, I fucking love the design of the Big Daddy. The first kind, because there's two different designs. One of them essentially looks like the Cyclops from the SpongeBob movie. It just kind of looks like someone wearing a big diver suit. And I'm like, this is I don't know, this is like okay looking, I guess. But that first design with like the cage face and like all the yellow dots and shit, the drill hand, like this thing looks fucking sick. I can see why this easily became the mascot of Bioshock. I can see why this is a playable character in Sony Smash Bros. Which I still think it's really fucking weird that, like, Cloud isn't in that game? Crash? Spyro? They're not in this game? What the fuck, dude? Like, anyways, though. It's a really fucking cool look. And the only other thing to say is the voice acting. I think the voice acting is really good. Like, first off, like, whenever you're listening to, like, messages on the radio, they sound like they're in a radio with, like, that little bit of distortion and shit, and I dig that. I think it's fucking awesome. And I think the lines are very well delivered. I really don't have anything else to say about the presentation. I would honestly give it a 5 out of 5. Like I said, like there's this, every now and then I was like, I wish the lighting was a little better here. And like, I feel like I should bring that up. But even I'm not like, yeah, that's not worth taking a point off. I don't even think it's worth taking half a point off. Is it technically perfect? No, because I had a little issue, but it's so minor, it doesn't really matter in the long run. So I would give the presentation just its vibe and its atmosphere. Like, it's just so... Okay, let me talk about that, because I don't think I really said that. It's like, yeah, the atmosphere is really good. Let me actually fucking say something about it. When you first see Rapture, you just see how small you are and how imposing it is. Like I said, there's a majesty to it, but it feels kind of oppressive. And that's what the atmosphere of Rapture is. It's like, you don't matter. There's all these people running around that want you dead. Not because you are particularly important, but almost the opposite. It's like, you don't matter to them. You're just a thing that has more stuff that they need to survive, so they're going to kill you. The fact that, even like big daddies are just walking around with their little sisters. They don't even attack you on sight. You have to start shit with them. Because unless you, like, which I do kind of like, it's like, hey, if you fuck around, you're going to find out. But you don't matter to them. Unless you do something, you are so thoroughly insignificant that they'll just kind of go about your day. But if you start getting too close, like, they'll be like, hey, fuck off. But as long as you don't, you just don't matter. And, you know, it's part of one of the things of Bioshock is you have no, it's like you have no autonomy. Your choices don't matter. Although, what was talking about later? Like, your choices do definitely matter. Because there are some that are there. But the power, like, to the powers that be, you are literally just a pawn. And I feel like literally from that first shot of Rapture, the game does a very good job of establishing that. Like, the atmosphere, the presentation, it's... Or, as... to quote a recent episode of Adventure Time that Clay and I watched, it's... So moving on to the gameplay. Number one, the first thing I have to say, the weapons fucking rule. Now, some of them are very basic. Your pistol is just a pistol. Like, it's not a flintlock. It's not like a magnum. Or, like, it's a revolver. And I always have a soft spot for revolvers. The shotgun, it's like just a shotgun. There's nothing too special about it. You have a grenade launcher, which is pretty standard. The fact that you can shoot, like, mines out of it, too. Like, that's pretty cool. But then you get, like, some of the cool flavoring where it's like, okay, your machine gun, like your assault rifle, it's a Tommy gun. I love that. You know, like, one of the first things I said when I got the Tommy gun. Like, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. I love that shit. It just makes me happy. The fact that the fact that the melee weapon is just a wrench, I don't know why, but I really liked it. I spent a lot of the game just bopping shit with the wrench. It might have been a bit more thematic, given what happens to Andrew Ryan, if your weapon throughout the game was a golf club instead of a wrench. I mean, it's not like, oh man, that's such a missed opportunity. Or like, I don't know, it maybe... I don't think it really would have made that moment better. That moment is really good, but I don't know. But I did like the wrench. It also just made me think of Clue, because one of the weapons in Clue is a wrench. You're like, oh, what do you know? That is really fucking effective. And yeah, I mean, I guess I have to say it. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball. Oh, look, he couldn't dodge the wrench. The wrench was really fun. The fact that your sniper rifle in the game is a fucking crossbow, I think is pretty cool. I'll be honest, I didn't use the crossbow a whole lot. It was just one of those things like later in the game, it's like, wait, I don't use this for much. This is just what I'll do to like take care of turrets if they don't see me, or especially cameras, and I actually found it really helpful for that. I mean, I guess I should include the camera because it's technically on your weapons, and like you can shoot it, and you do have ammo in the form of film. It's like, yeah, if you take pictures of shit with enough of them, you can do more damage to them later, I think. But it's something the game made you do, which I honestly hated. It's like, yeah, you can't proceed until you take like 3 pictures of this particular kind of enemy. And it took me a fat minute to find that kind of enemy. I'm gonna put a fucking pin in there. So the guy was like, yeah, the camera's whatever. But my baby, aside from the wrench, because I fucking love the wrench, my baby is the chemical thrower. Being able to just have a flamethrower and you're shooting napalm is pretty cool. It's pretty fucking funny. I liked it. The electric gel, I literally didn't use until I was fighting the final boss, and I was like, oh wow, his health is gone. This is badass. Like, I'm kind of glad I didn't use this until the end of the game. Let's go. It can shoot liquid nitrogen. You can just free shit. You don't just have a flamethrower. You have an ice thrower. That, like, when I saw that, I was like, you see the grin on my face just thinking about it. That was me when I first saw it. I was like, dude, there's no fucking way. This is awesome. This is one of the coolest ideas for a weapon I've, like, seen in a video game. Holy shit. And that's basically just what I did to Big Daddy's. What I had to find was like, all right, freeze, bop. I really wasn't using the wrench at that point. I was like, all right, now let's use my grenades. Let's use the shotgun. I fucking hated the shotgun. Like, it did a lot of damage, but like, it takes so fucking long to reload, and I get it. That's what a shotgun does. It's like, here's the pros and cons. The pro, a lot of fucking damage. The con, you gotta be at close range, and it's gonna be a bitch to reload. Like, I get it, but like, fuck, it felt bad. Like, it felt like it took so long to reload. But granted, that's like when you got a Big Daddy on your ass, there's really not much you can do. Like, all right, let me freeze it. Now I have to reload the shotgun. Shit, my shotgun's not even done reloading, and he's already out of the ice. Fuck. But I love the chemical thrower. As for the plasmids, I will be honest, I didn't buy any plasmids. Now, that part in the game where like your plasmid like starts getting fucky and you just get access to a lot of shit, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. Like, I enjoyed that. I thought, like, there are some cool powers here. But I was also kind of thinking to myself, like, I mean, no offense, game, like, these look really cool, but I've got other shit I need to spend my atom on. I need more health. I need more Eve. Or just, like, opening slots for more tonics. Like, I don't really want to buy more powers. The ones that you've given me, I think, are kind of good enough. Like, Electro Ball is really, like, okay, like, being able to stun is nice. Stun plus wrench is really good. Stun plus they're standing in water is really good. I used Incinerate mostly whenever it was needed to solve puzzles. I didn't use it for combat as often. I still did every now and then. I was like, yeah, like, this is good, but I think for me, I was like, I would rather use my Eve to zap and bop Telekinesis is pretty dang cool. I liked that a lot. I did enjoy, like, when shit would shoot rockets, you could just catch them and throw them back. That was really fun to do. What was the other? And then I did get Hypnotize Big Daddy and Hypnotize Big Daddy 2, which costs so much Eve. I didn't use it super often, but every now and then it was like, all right, Mr. Bubbles, let's go. That was pretty cool. I think for me, my problem was the game starts giving you plasmids, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is probably going to work like Infinite. I think in Infinite there was like, maybe, if I don't remember. Did I have to? No, because they weren't even called Vigors, I think is what they were. How many of those did you have to buy? Because I think there were some that I had to buy. I think I had to buy the water one. There was like maybe one or two they gave me free. It's been a while. But this game gave me a solid like 3 or 4 for free. So that's just kind of what I assumed was going to happen. Like, you're going to get these new powers as you progress through the game naturally, and you're going to use it for combat. You're also going to use it for puzzle solving. And then it gets to a point where it's like, no, now you're just going to have to buy the rest. And I didn't love that, especially because that's not how the weapons work. The weapons are like, yeah, like you will find these. Now, theoretically, you can miss them and just not pick them up. None of the weapons, I believe, are required, but they are there, and they're provided just by playing the game natural. I mean, I guess, like, again, like going to an Atom machine, that's still natural, don't get me wrong, but it feels more organic. Like, I don't have to go to the machine. I can just go do shit, explore, fight shit. I found weapons. I found plasmids. I kind of wanted that to be how I kept getting plasmids again, because for me, my Atom was kind of better spent elsewhere. So I like plasmids. I just wish they were implemented that way, but it just might be a me thing. Like, I don't think it's like a, wow, fuck this game for doing that. It's more just like I kind of wish you did this. So here's what I actually kind of hated about playing the game, though. Number 1. There felt like so many times where enemies were just kind of seemingly spawning out of thin air. It was like, wait, I kind of thought I cleared this area out. Why are there still people here? And honestly, that was mostly Sander Cohen's area. Which I also kind of hate because it's pure filler. Like, in terms of the plot at that point, it's alright. Some shit happened. I think that's after the submarine blows up. And Atlas Joe's like, that he killed my family. You need to go kill Andrew Ryan. Like, would you kindly kill that motherfucker? And you're like, alright, bet. He's a piece of shit. Let's go. And you're on your way to get to Ryan. And then the bathysphere, it's like fucking hijacked. Or it's like, I think you have to stop at, I don't remember what his place was called. I don't think that was a Hephaestus. Was that Apollo? A lot of it was named after Poseidon. Maybe it wasn't Apollo. Anyways, it's like you stop there. You're going to go to like the next thing. And he's like, wait a second. I'm not going to let you. I want you to do some random bullshit for me. Ha 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 ha. And like, I loved Sander Cohen as a character. I thought he was fucking blast. But I'm like, this has really nothing to do with the plot anymore. It's just kind of wasting my time. And if it was really fun, I wouldn't have minded. But it was like, wow, there's just enemies kind of, like, there were certain areas. I remember one was on the top floor. I think it was like outside the casino. There was like this one hallway too. Boy, that is vague as hell, and I'm sorry. Like, it's in my head where it's like, it might have been like right after you leave the freeze tunnel, and there's a staircase, kind of like, I think it's part of the atrium. There's like a bunch of different shops. Welcome to the circus of value. I loved that shit. I really did. But anyways, where enemies were just kind of spawning out of thin air, and like, yes, they're spider splicers. They're on the ceiling, so like they're kind of literally coming out of thin air. But I'm like, wait, like, no, actually, where did you come from? Like, I remember at one point, I was at the top floor of the casino, and there was just, like, a couple dudes who weren't there. Like, I looked, no one was here, and then next thing I know, I'm hearing voices and getting shot at. I'm like, what the fuck? Dead ass, where did you come from? Because I swear there's times where the game will literally just spawn enemies to annoy me, and that does take away from my immersion. If it's very clear, like, no, this is where they're coming from, you gotta clear this area out, that makes sense to me. But if it's like, no, like, it's a video game, we can spawn enemies, like, yeah, but that's not how this should work. This bothers me. This bothers me immensely. The other thing I hate about Sander Cohen's area, which is just something I don't like about a lot of the main missions in the game, is how very fetch questy they are. Like, the first chunk of the game is Atlas Joe saying, hey, I need your help because this Ryan dude's a piece of shit and I'm just trying to get my family in town. I'm really worried for their safety. I'm trying to meet up with them. Would you kindly help me? And your main character not saying anything, but basically going, sure, I got you. And, like, him helping you survive. It's like, okay, so, like, you need to go to this place. It would probably help if you're able to get this thing. Okay, you're able to find it pretty easily, blah, blah, blah. Like, it feels really smooth. And then there's these areas of the game where it's like, hey, find X amount of this, X amount of this, and X amount of this. Like, when you're in Arcadia, and you have to go find all the pieces of the vector. Like, yeah, you need, what is it? It's like 7 distilled water, 7 enzymes, and I don't remember the other thing. But another thing. And then one of them is in that fucking B area, which was so fucking annoying. Because that's another one of those areas where enemies are just spawning out of thin air. So I'm like, okay, there's a wall here, this is where I'm coming from, and there's no enemies. And then when I explore, like, there's also a wall here. I've checked it. There's no, like, secret entrance to anywhere. And yet, every time I go back into this room, it is crawling with enemies. Where the fuck are they coming from? Because this is bullshit. This is annoying. The fact they can only be there for a certain amount of time. And I have to keep going in and looking for this shit. It was so damn annoying. Then it's like, all right, you're about to go fight Ryan. Never mind. His door is blocked. You gotta go find all the pieces to the bomb. It's like, you have to go find some shit to help you get in there. Okay, that makes sense. And then you find the thing, you're like, cool. Now you need, like, this many things, and this many things to be able to actually make it. Okay. I mean, that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Also, like, 4 of these parts you can only get from killing a Big Daddy. Okay, so now you're forcing me to fight Big Daddies. That's, like, kind of shitty. Okay. Oh, by the way, game, quick question. How the fuck have I never gotten any of these while fighting Big Daddies before? Are you only spawning in this particular thing now because you've told me? Because, like, there's another thing. I think it's, like, the tonic gel is another thing you need to make the bomb. And you're like, yeah, you can find these all around the area. Yes and no. Because, yes, they are all around, like, that area of the game. However, you can't start collecting them until you've hit this particular quest saying, yeah, this is a thing you can pick up. And I know that for 2 reasons. Number 1, I didn't have any by that point, which, granted, doesn't necessarily, that could just mean I missed them 100%. But I ended up, like, circling back around to an area I had been in before, and now one of those things is glowing. And granted, you could also say, well, it wouldn't have been glowing before because he didn't need to get it. True, but I remember looking at one of them and it's saying, like, this is tonic gel, and I did not have the option to pick it up until the quest said, hey, go fucking find them. And I find that insufferably annoying. If I, the player, if you are telling me to collect a bunch of shit before you told me that shit is right there in front of me and I can't pick it up just because it's not time yet, or it's like, this spawns from killing very specific enemies. and it's not gonna spawn until I tell you that it's not gonna spawn at all until I tell you. Fuck you, because now you are deliberately wasting my time. And that's how Bioshock kind of started to feel by the end. And I feel like narratively, a lot of these things make sense. Making the vector makes sense. Needing to get into, like, fuck with Ryan's... I just saw the spit go flying out of my mouth. Like, needing to, like, overcharge his door so you could get inside. It makes sense. Go, like, walking around that one area to find the cure for what Fontaine is doing to you. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and then you have, like, Sander Collins, which is like, hey, walk around and find this asshole, this asshole, this asshole, and kill them. That part's so damn annoying to me. I hated it. I really did. I was like, I can't find these motherfuckers. My map thing is not, like, directing me anymore. Which, granted, it's like, alright, do it yourself. Okay, that's not the worst thing in the world, because I can even look, and the game's like, yeah, go around this area. The problem is, there was one point where I was like, I've been walking around that area for like an hour, and I haven't found shit. Because I remember that was really what I was like, dude, I can't fucking see with this lighting. This looks like, oh god, it's not like I came close to quitting the game around there, but it was like, the game is now pissing me off. It's gone from really good, has a lot of charm, has a lot of, like, cool shit in it, to, I don't want to play this anymore. It's short enough that I'm gonna. I know I'm, like, really, really close to the fantastic shit. But game, I don't know anymore. And then, like, even after you do all that shit, and then it's like one of the last things you do in the game is this long escort mission, which isn't fun. The final boss is okay. It's not like, damn, this was incredible. It's like, yeah, it was alright, I guess. Like, I kind of liked it. But it really did just feel like the last few hours of Bioshock, pure gameplay-wise, because story-wise, still interesting shit is happening, I just completely lost my interest in actually playing the game. And that's really sad. I think it started off really strong. There is still some fun shit. Oh, another thing. This isn't even in the last few hours. This is just... One thing that pissed me off was, like, exploring, having fun, trying to, like, find shit, and then I turn a corner and then there's a turret just ripping me to pieces. Or exploring, and then there's a camera, and then there's a camera, and then there's a turret, and then there's a camera. I just found that really annoying. I didn't find it really... It's like, I feel like Bioshock kind of wants to be a stealth game. And if I had maybe, like, played it with that mindset, maybe it would have worked better for me. I was like, this... I don't know. This stopped being fun a while ago. It does have my baby. It does have the chemical thrower. The game started off really good, but honestly, I'm like, I so thoroughly hated playing a good chunk of the game. For sheer gameplay reasons, I would give it like a 2.5. But then we get to the narrative. Then we get to the thing that everyone likes Bioshock for. The basic plot and backstory is there are these two guys, Andrew Ryan and Frank Fontaine, who are essentially at war with each other over the city of Rapture. Ryan is this idealist who believes, like, I can make my perfect city, but I will rule it with an iron fist, because I know how my city is supposed to work, and if you disagree with me, you don't need to be here. And Fontaine kind of tried to position himself as more like the man of the people. Like, hey, look, this is the shit that Ryan's doing and doing to you. This is what I can do for you. But that was all a front to mask like his greed and his hunger for power. So Fontaine started fucking with people, and he was turning them into splicers and like using plasmids and shit. I don't know if it was because of the plasmids, I don't know if it was because of Adam, I don't know if it was because of both, but it was starting to corrode people's minds to essentially like he is now making his own like army. Which does kind of raise some questions, like, so if the splicers are his army, why are they attacking Jack throughout the early game when Jack is doing his bidding? My assumption would be it's like they're essentially, they are an army, but they're not an organized army. Like, you can't really control them. You just kind of launch them in a general direction and they do shit, and it turned out that general direction was just all of Rapture. That's how I understand it. That makes a lot of sense to me. Ryan had a son, and I believe from like some of the audio logs that I had heard, it was he didn't know he had this son, and Fontaine took the baby and had it heavily conditioned. And I think easily my favorite like audio log is the one with the dog, because of how unsettling it is. It's like, hey, do you like your dog? Yeah, I do. He's a good boy. Yeah. Would you ever want to hurt him? Oh, no, like, never at all, doctor. Okay. Would you kill him for me? What? Yeah, kill your dog. I want you to kill your dog. No, I'm not going to do that. Would you kindly kill your dog? And then you just, like, hear the dog start whimpering and shit. You're like, oh, because I think you also find that log in the room right before Ryan, which just has like all this, like all these like pictures and shit on the board, and then in big red letters, just would you kindly, and fuck, I loved that. I was like, that was my favorite moment in the game. Is that, yes, I knew already, but like, that's so fucking cool. Oh, it's great. So we conditioned the kid to, whenever he is asked, would you kindly, he has to do whatever he is then told. And I do think it's interesting, like, it doesn't matter who the person is. Like, it's not, you only respond to would you kindly if I say it. It's just like, no, it is just your trigger phrase. It's like your Manchurian Candidate shit. And he sent him, and he's like, I'm going to send you into Rapture to kill Andrew Ryan. And because you have his DNA, you're probably going to have some access to shit that other people don't, like the Vita Chamber. Like, yeah, this is, like, only Ryan and his family can, like, be revived in these things. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Which Vita? Vita means life, doesn't it? So, that makes, no, wait, is that Vita with a D? That's Vita with a D. I don't know about Vita with an A, but I mean, I guess, like, Vita for vital, so it's still kind of like a life chamber. Anyways, sorry, just mumbling to myself. That's basically the plot of the game, and Fontaine, under the guise of Atlas Joe, is someone who, again, is, like, fighting Andrew Ryan without Ryan knowing who he really is, and is manipulating Jack, your faceless, voiceless protagonist, to go do all this shit by, like, hey, would you kindly help me? Would you kindly go do this? Hey, would you kindly go kill that son of a bitch? Meeting Andrew Ryan, and he gives that whole spiel about how a man chooses, a slave obeys, while explaining to Jack, this is what you are. You are a slave. Because you, like, powerful phrase, wonderful phrase, would you kindly? I really like the scene. However, as Ryan is getting bludgeoned to death with a fucking 9-iron and going, a man chooses, a slave obeys, as he's getting the shit beat out of him, like, okay, that was funny at that point. Like, that was just, it's like the fact that, like, he's, like, you've already said your piece, you've gotten your point across, you don't need to still be talking, because, like, it's, I don't know, that, I think it went on just a little too long, but the overall point of what's happening, I think, is really cool. After that, Fontaine is like, yeah, I betrayed you, boyo, blah, 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 blah. Would you kindly go kill yourself? Like, would you kindly go get stepped on by a big daddy, and then you don't do it? And he's like, oh, shit. You've broken free of it, because the doctor who, not the one who conditioned you, but the one who works with the Little Sisters and shit, Tannenbaum, I think was her name. It's like, she's helping you, and then Fontaine's like, well, I mean, good on you, I guess, for breaking free of this. Good on you for finding someone else to trust. But I mean, hey, unconditional trust ain't always a good thing, boyo. You should know that better than anybody. And he brings up a very good point. If there's one thing I don't like about Bioshock's story, it's how the game is super linear. Okay, but you still, have some exploration shit you can do. It's a very narrative storyline. Linear storyline. I would hope it's a narrative storyline. And I love linear stories. That is not my issue. My issue is it feels like it is a game, like, it's an examination of linear storytelling in a video game with the whole would you kindly twist. But then after the twist happens, it's like, okay, you have broken free of its control. I think it would have been really cool if at that point the game did kind of open up. It's like, what do you, the player, want to do? Do you even want to fight Fontaine? It's like, here's your options, because now you have options. You can fight against him. You can just leave Rapture and you're like, dude, I don't care about any of this. I just want to go home. That's an option. Do you want to fight him and kill him for all the shit that he's done? That's an option. Do you want to... I would be like, do you want to join him? Because they're like, nah. Yeah, Andrew Ryan was a piece of shit. I'm glad that I helped you, Fontaine. I'll be your right-hand man, no question. I think I would have liked that. It's not just like, hey, you've been playing this really linear story, and man, it's really crazy how in video games, like, it's storytelling can be super linear, and you just do what people tell you to do without questioning it. So now do what the doctor is telling you to without questioning it. Like, yeah, I think it would have worked better. Again, like, maybe it's just for me, because I do like the story that it tells, but I think they could have done a little bit more with it there at the end. Especially because also, yeah, I don't like what I have to do after that. There's another collect a bunch of shit fetch quest. Like, you have to look like a big daddy and collect all these parts of a big daddy suit. Okay, and like, I'm not even playing as one. Like, I didn't even get a fucking drill hand. This is kind of shitty. Like, now you have to do this, like, escort quest. This is really shitty. I fucking hated this. Why? Like, man, but I did say that even in a game where you don't have choice, you do still have choice, which is essentially, what do you do with the little sisters? How many of them do you, like, how many big daddies do you kill? And when it comes to the little sisters, do you save them, which gives you some Adam, or do you, like, kill them and harvest them, which gives you a fuck ton of Adam? So this is a very important resource. How much of it do you have? I didn't kill any of them. Any little sister I came across, I harvested. Or excuse me. I saved. Harvest is kill. It might be. Like, I saved them. I didn't save every little sister in the game. It's like, I don't want to fight every big daddy. Fuck that shit. But anytime I did, I would save the sister. So I got the good ending. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. It's like, that is still, even in a situation where you don't have choice, there is still some choice to be had. And it is like, how do you spend your Atom? Are you buying plasmids? Are you buying upgrades? Like, how do you customize your character? There is still some, choice in Bioshock. And even when you're under Fontaine's control, again, like, he doesn't say, would you kindly kill all the big daddies? Would you kindly harvest the little sisters? He's just like, it's something you should probably do, but, like, I'll kind of leave that one up to you. So, I mean, there's that. Like I said, like, I think the actual, like, plot is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty cool. The twist is phenomenal. But with the fact that, like, you've now broken free of his brainwashing and, like, his mind control, and then when you get the tonic, you're like, okay, you are fully free of Fontaine. I think I would have liked it if you have now more control over what you want to do with your life. Do you want to kill him? Fully justified if you do. Do you want to just leave and not give a shit? Fully justified if you want to do. Do you want to join him? Fully justified if that's what you want to do. It's your choice. So I think I'd take like half a point off because I really would have liked some of that other kind of shit. So I'd give it like a 4.5. So that's 5, and 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So I give Bioshock like a 12 out of 15. And for me, that sounds about right. It's a game where I certainly like it more than I dislike it. There's a lot of very, very strong elements in Bioshock. I think for me, the gameplay does hold it back from just like, this is an immaculate experience. But it's not like it drags it so far down either. I'm like, this ruined it and I fucking hated it. I did enjoy my time with Bioshock. I'm glad I finally got to experience it and cross it off my list.